going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku, back with another video. Before I start, please click the notification bell for all the latest contents. So yeah, guys, we got to get to this Spider-Man contents. We got to get to this Spider-Man stuff, guys. Now, I haven't been making as many videos about Spider-Man. Cause like I said, I don't care about Spider-Man. I care about Venom. There's been multiple articles out within the past, 2 weeks now about Spider-Man's future still, despite the fact that Sony and Disney told to your faces a few weeks ago that the deal's done, it's over, we're not going back to the negotiating table, yet there are still people that insist that they're going back to the negotiating table. Oh, we're just trolling, and no, they're not trolling, they're not fucking bullshitting. This is the reality. MCU fanboys need to shut the frig up and stop with this stupid bullshit. It's done. The deal is over with. Get over yourselves. He's not coming back unless a bunch of shit happens at this point. But he ain't coming back for the short-term reasonable future at this point. And that's final. It's over. It's done with. Just enough. I see these videos being posted by guys like, again, Comic Book Cast 2, and the guy that's really annoying me now is Everything Always. He's reporting a bunch of bullshit news that isn't true. Literally his entire, I've been looking at this guy's channel, okay? Literally, it is flowed. It is flowed with bullshit. It is full with bullshit. I'm looking at his channel, and it's literally the last few weeks it has been new deal, new deal, new deal. Oh, rumors about another deal. Oh, this deal. Oh, how Apple's gonna buy again. That bullshit. We'll get to that side. We'll get to that in a short time. But this. Oh, another new deal. Oh, another deal. What the frig, dude? Shut up. You're wrong. Quit posting bullshit news that isn't true. I'm so sick of these freaking YouTubers that are posting bullshit that isn't true. Because it's all fake. All of it is fake. You're not inside a freaking studio. You don't have the inside sources. You don't work for Sony. You don't work for Disney. So shut up. You don't know shit. Okay? This is why I haven't made that many videos about this shit. Because I've seen piles and piles of rumors and speculational videos that aren't true. They're not sourced by anything besides a very, very false MCU biased journalism. Again, the reality is Sony made a statement, Disney made a statement, or Marvel Studios made a statement. I don't understand where people are deal's gonna still happen. A deal's going to come. It's gonna come. No, it's not gonna come. It's over. It's done. What do they have to? Do they have to spell it out for you? Do they have to literally get the damn CEO to literally say that it's over? Is that gonna convince you, or are you still gonna be no, it's not over. It's not over. It's not over. The channel I'm talking about specifically right now is called Everything Always. He is a bullshit fake news article video person right now, but there's a couple other people that I have problems with right now. But he's one I'm starting to really notice. Obviously, Comic Book Cast, I have no love lost for him with his little 3-minute clickbaiter videos. But this Everything Always, man, oh my god. Geez, this guy can't go a day without making a video revolving an update, quotation marks, about Spider-Man. Articles that which are not true, and just rumors at this point. Jeez, my God, the fanboy rift is huge. And again, yeah, I'm not a fan of comic book cast. I'm not a fan of comic book casts. I mean, I know people that like him, and I know people that talk to comic book casts. So I'm not going to judge him personally, but I mean, his videos are just so bad. I'm sorry they're just so bad. Like, and I call it as I see it. I call it as I see it, guys. You know how I am when it comes to this shit. Yeah, Spider-Man Deadpool crossover's not happening. No, it definitely isn't. And it would have to be watered down anyways if they did end up doing it. So I don't think Deadpool fans would like it anyways. But guys, like, oh my God. Okay. The thing is about the whole, Spider-Man, Disney can just outright buy Spider-Man from Sony, right? That's what people are cracking up right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. The same people that made these articles about Disney outright buying the Spider-Man franchise, right, from Sony, aren't these the same people like 4 days ago that made an article saying that that Disney are waiting on offering Sony money because they freaking want to wait in case if Apple decides to buy Sony, because in the whole mythical MCU fanboy belief, since all these Marvel fanboys are reporting it, that if Sony is bought by another company, okay, if Sony is bought by another company, Spider-Man is not transferable to that company, so because of that, it automatically reverts back to Marvel, which I have already debunked this, as well as John Champion has sorry if I pronounce his name wrong, but he already debunked this, and he knows more people in the industry than these people on YouTube that are reporting this shit. Okay, he's got a guy that actually has done shit in film as a guest on his show. Okay, and he already explained, as long as Sony is still Sony Pictures, as long as they are still a film studio, no matter who they're acquired by, they are still an active film company, which means Spider-Man would not revert back to Marvel. But these stupid people that are reporting this shit and are putting these articles out don't understand that. And they're just looking at what they want to hear. They just what they want to talk about, or what they believe the narrative is. And that's not how it works. And I've explained this. I made a video on it a long time ago already. But again, these people don't do their research. They don't do their homework. They don't understand how it works. The contracts work. Okay? They say, well, in the leaks, it said this, and it said that, and it said this. Dude, unless you are actually a movie executive, or you actually have done movie contracts, you just need to shut up. Because you don't know shit. You don't know what's going on in the inside of these companies. You don't. You think you do. Everybody that's been reporting this shit about Spider-Man think they know what's going on in the inside. They think they knew it. Just before Far From Home came out, everyone was talking about new deals and, what the future was hold. They got J.J. Eisenberg, right? For frickin' the camp at the end there for the movie, right? Everybody was talking about that stuff and what it was going to lead to. Even before Far From Home came out, people were under the belief that there was another third solo MCU movie in the contract for the Disney-Sony agreement. People believed that. And then once Sony pulled away, announced that they were pulling away from the MCU, people were scrambling around and changing that narrative to what they thought the deal was. Then they were running the whole thing. Oh, well, there's only two picture films left for Tom Holland's, but that doesn't necessarily mean the MCU. But for years during this contract, everybody was under the belief that there was 3 solo films and 3 crossover films. Everyone was under the belief of that. Okay? Everyone, remember they said that if Far From Home didn't make $1 billion, they said that that Spider-Man would be able to be pulled out of the MCU and Sony would be able to do whatever they want. Remember that whole rumor? Remember that rumor? Because everyone was talking about that rumor when Far From Home was out. And then after they made $1 billion, then they announced that they were pulling him out anyways because the contract was up. Right? So which is it? Because you guys swept that under the rug after Sony announced that the MCU Spider-Man was no more. That he was leaving the MCU. You guys all changed that narrative. So these MCU fanboys are full of shit, and they don't know what they're reporting. They don't know the contracts. Because if they knew the contracts, then guess what? They wouldn't have... Guess what? If they truly knew the Spider-Man MCU contract, they would not have known that fact. They would have known that fact. Because they kept saying that it was $1 billion. That if it made $1 billion, that they would be allowed to make a third film, a third solo MCU Spider-Man film, no questions asked. Far From Home made $1 billion, and guess what? It's still being pulled out of the MCU. So obviously you guys didn't know the contracts. Obviously these fanboys didn't know the contracts. See, I actually did my homework. I didn't even watch Far From Home. And I did all this homework on all the rumors and all the bullshit that you guys reported. Okay? For months. All that shit. And all that shit's been debunked. But yet you guys won't come out and admit that you were wrong about that shit, right? You won't admit that you were wrong about that stuff. So, which is it? Which is it, fanboys? Which is it? Because obviously you didn't know the contracts back then, so why would you know about this whole rumor about Disney outright buying Spider-Man? If you didn't know about the actual MCU contract to begin with. Hell, you all claim that Disney didn't even get anything, right? Disney didn't even get anything, in the solo films, which they really didn't get anything, but they did get a small percentage, 5%. But even before Far From Home came out, we didn't even know that fact. We didn't even know that fact, that they were getting, first ticket sales, first day ticket sales, for 5% or whatever. We didn't even know that until after this deal was over with. So how do we know that you guys, like Comic Book Cast or Everything Always or any of these other MCU fanboy YouTubers that are reporting this stuff, how do we know you guys actually knew, from your inside quotation mark sources, that you knew what the contracts were? The key answer is you didn't. You didn't know anything. You don't know anything. You thought. You speculated. You imagined it and then tried to report it as factual. And that's what annoys me about these MCU fanboys. They don't know shit. Anything that has been reported for the past month about Spider-Man, good chance none of it's true. Especially that article about the, the agreement on, how they were going to share Spider-Man, allow them to still do Venom, but they, MCU, that whole article was crap. Okay. Yeah, I don't watch Spider-Man films, because I'm not into Spider-Man like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm into Venom. Fix the damn door. So now let's get to the whole rumor about Captain Marvel, about the involvement of Spider-Man and Captain Marvel. Okay, rumor. First of all, that shit ain't happening because Sony's going to have control of Spider-Man, for one thing. Number two, the plan rumored was that if Spider-Man's relationship between Sony and Disney continued, that they would have Captain Marvel and Spider-Man team up. First of all, that's freaking stupid. First of all, because I don't recall Spider-Man and Captain Marvel ever having any interaction really like that. Not that matters because it's all Marvel shit anyways, but it would just be a weird combination to begin with. Number two, it's stupid in the sense because it's the classic, it's like a kind of like a WWE move if you're like a wrestler, if you're a wrestling fan. It's like what they did a couple of years ago with Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, right? You know, Daniel Bryan was the guy who everybody wanted to cheer for, and then, you know, the fans wanted Daniel Bryan to get over and be the champion, but management wanted Roman Reigns to be champion, and so they tried to milk that bullshit. It's kind of like shit like that. And that's what it seems like they're trying to do here, right? Like, oh, you know, Captain Marvel, you know, no one really cares about Captain Marvel, but everybody cares about Spider-Man. So we're going to put them together, and then everyone's going to like Captain Marvel. Like, dude, get out of here with it. See, my whole thing is if you need management to get you over, you are not over. You are not over, and it's no different from wrestling to Hollywood films, okay? Wrestling is scripted, but the freaking stunts they do are real, and some of these actors' stunts are actually pretty real too. I mean, most of them got stunt doubles, but still, I mean, they still have to be in physical shape to do what they're doing, and you know, do that shit wouldn't make sense. It just wouldn't make sense to do that. Captain Marvel needs to focus on being her own thing. She needs to be focused on being her own thing. As far as I'm concerned, what they really should be doing with Captain Marvel is actually following her source material, and that's, you know, now that they got the X-Men with Fox, they should be doing that Robe story, because Robe actually absorbs Captain Marvel's powers, and that leads to Robe getting a lot of Captain Marvel's powers. But hell, I don't think they're gonna do that, you know, because who the fuck knows at this point what they're, excuse my French, who the frig knows what they're gonna do at this point with that. But if I was Disney, that'd be the storyline I'd be going for Captain Marvel, is trying to introduce Robe and do that storyline. But, you know, Spider-Man, they're gonna be making films. Spider-Man is gonna be doing his thing. Venom 2 is coming out next year, which I'm excited for because I'm a huge Venom fan, and that's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I like in the Spider-Man franchise, is Venom. That's my go-to thing. I went to see the film 3 times, and that's how much I really loved that film. And I can't wait to see it when they do the second one, because the second one's going to have Carnage in it. And possibly it will have Spider-Man in it, but I personally think they shouldn't have. If you ask me, I personally don't think Spider-Man should be in Venom 2. I think, you know, Spider-Man should be introduced in the Sony universe in like a different way, and maybe its own movie, you know, because they plan on doing their own movie, and then eventually we'll do the crossover between them and Venom. But they're probably going to put Spider-Man in the Venom film, the Venom 2 film, regardless, because obviously it's their property and they have to show that Spider-Man is going to be there. But I don't. If it was up to me, I wouldn't put Spider-Man in the film. I'd let Venom, you know, be in his own thing. And then plant the seeds for the inevitable crossover, because that's what they're trying to get to. They're trying to get to the Venom versus Spider-Man thing, which that's supposed to be the film after the Spider-Man solo film, whenever that is going to be done. Obviously they got to work out how they're going to plan it. Because it's still going to be Tom Holland that's doing that Spider-Man. It's going to be that Spider-Man in whatever they decide to title that solo film. So I would have Venom 2, Venom versus Carnage, and that leads to maybe a stalemate between Venom and Carnage. Spider-Man does his solo film. They're going to have to figure out a lot of shit, since they can't mention MCU stuff, most likely, and kind of, do its own thing. Do its own thing, right? They do that solo film. Obviously, they're going to do their Morbius film as well. I don't know exactly how that's going to connect, but it will connect in some way. But you do the Spider-Man solo film then a year later, after you do Venom 2. And then the next year, after the solo Spider-Man film, you do the Venom Spider-Man Maximum Carnage event, where Carnage, is back again, since Venom couldn't defeat Carnage in the second film, and then that leads to Spider-Man and Venom meeting up with each other, or maybe they meet up before that. I don't know. Maybe they meet up in Spider-Man solo film, but they meet up, and this would they originally start fighting. Because obviously they got to figure out the symbiote thing, so Venom can get, the spider thing on his symbiote, because as we all know, Eddie Brock, it's Venom 1. Spider-Man didn't exist in that film, so obviously the Venom symbiote went right to Eddie Brock, so it never went to Spider-Man. That's why they don't have the spider symbol on Venom's chest in Venom 1, which obviously makes sense. So they're going to have to address that, where, at some point in one of these films, Spider-Man, merges with the symbiote and then goes back to Eddie Brock, and, then he gets the spider thing, and then you get to that crossover film, where then now you got Carnage again, who's still alive, and then you have the team up between Spider-Man and Venom teaming up to take out Carnage. That's the big build up, basically, to what Sony is planning. Well, that's what they are planning, but I don't know if they're planning in that order. That's how I would try to go about it, if they were planning it. But yeah. Let him play out. Well, it was Disney, really. It wasn't Marvel. Disney owns Marvel Studios, but it was Disney that didn't want to really play ball with Sony at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of different things. Like, a lot of people are under the belief that Sony can't make Spider-Man films and all this shit. I mean, they're doing a really good job right now with Venom, and I don't know what Craven's gonna do. I mean, there's a lot of different Spider-Mans they could do. There's a lot of Spider-Mans that they could do. Gwen Stacy ex Spider-Man. Miles Morales. There's a lot of different things. I mean, there's a lot of different things Sony can do for the future, with holding on to Spider-Man. There's a lot of different things they can do. So yeah. For anime, yeah. And the video game too. The Maximum Carnage video game. Deadpool, you might be waiting for Deadpool. Because Disney doesn't seem to know what they want to do. They have to make the film, but they don't know how to do it because they can't make rated R films. They're not supposed to, right? So they may have just ruined Deadpool 3. Disney, yeah. Disney just needs to lay off. Let Kevin Feige do his thing and not interfere with it. That's really what he needs to do. Because I think if this was between Kevin Feige and Sony, I think they would have gotten a deal done. Reports are that Feige was kind of consulting the first Venom film. I think if this was just between Feige and Sony, I think they would have probably gotten a deal done. But because it wasn't. Feige didn't see. A lot of people think that Kevin Feige was kind of involved in these negotiations. He wasn't. Disney was involved in this. Kevin Feige, what he does is his team makes the movies. Okay, he makes the movies for Marvel Studios, but Disney still makes the financial decisions for contracts and purchases and all that stuff. That's how they bought Marvel in the first place. And so it went all the way up to Disney, to Bob Iger. So this was Bob Iger and I forget who the Sony CEO currently is right now, but it's up to those guys. Those guys are the people that are making these decisions on where this shit is going. Okay? And I know some people think that what Sony said was, he was dissing Kevin Feige. To a certain extent, people can take it that way. But at the same time, you got to understand that what else are they going to say? What else are they going to say? Okay? It's a corporation. These are companies at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, Sony has to protect their investment in this property. They have to. They bought it. They own it. Okay? Marvel wasn't in a good state when Sony bought the Spider-Man rights. Okay? They would never have been able to make these films if it hadn't been for the fact that Sony and Fox and these other film studios purchased these characters to make movies in the early 2000s. Because they were in bankruptcy. They were in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Marvel is in a way different place than they were now than what they were back then. And Sony made a good deal. They made a good business investment. And, regardless of what people think, they've made a lot of money off of it. I don't have a favorite Spidey. I said I don't really like Spider-Man. I like Venom. So I don't really have a favorite. I don't really have a favorite because I don't really like Spider-Man. I just like Venom. The only thing I can really say is I did like the I did like the Randy Savage scene though, because Randy Savage is, for anybody who doesn't know, Randy Macho Man Savage is my favorite all-time professional wrestler. So I do remember that happening. Bonesaw, as they called him in the film. Cross over to the dark side and make her. Well, it needs to go to theaters if they're gonna do it. Deadpool, from my understanding, Deadpool 3 is going to happen. I just don't know when it's gonna happen. I can't say for sure because, like I said, I'm not a source. I'm just a person who just, based on what Bob Iger said. Bob Iger publicly said that Deadpool is still going to happen. It's just we don't know when it's going to happen. Yeah, Tom Hardy is a badass. He's a badass Venom. My boy Venom. But yeah, like this whole $10 billion thing, it'd be stupid. I mean, if they just outright bought Sony, that'd be one thing. But they're not gonna outright buy Sony because why would you? You just bought Fox, and now you're gonna buy Sony. Well, first of all, I don't think it would be approved. Then again, I didn't think Fox would have been approved by the government. But if they approved Sony being bought, then like they would own 50% of the box office films because there wouldn't be as much studios then. So that's why I don't think they're gonna be able to buy Sony. But what's in it for Apple? Because everyone's like, well, what's in it for Apple? Like Apple buying Sony Pictures. It's like, why would Apple need to buy? Like Apple. Okay, and here's another thing. Here's a thing that I don't understand. Why would Apple need to buy Sony? Apple, y'all realize, okay, I want to put this into context of something. Apple owns more money than Disney. These friggers, they own trillions upon trillions of dollars. Apple, Mac. Yeah, they make the Macs. Apple owns, they make iPhones, they make Macs. These guys, these friggers, they own freaking trillions of dollars. They own more money than Disney does. They have more money in their back pocket. Those friggers. Those friggers. I don't even know why I said that, but they are. These dudes, man, they got like... These dudes got like... They got jackpots going on. They got jackpots going on with money. Like, they could buy Disney if they wanted to, but they don't want to. They don't see Apple. They've been smart with their money. They don't want to buy any of this media content. But if they wanted to start their own film studio, I don't understand why they need to buy Sony. Why not just make their own studio? They have the money. They have the resources. They don't need to buy Sony. They don't need to buy Sony to get over. They don't. It's not like Sony really has anything worth their while. What do they have? They don't really have that much. Okay, I mean, besides Spider-Man. Why would they waste their time buying Sony when they could just buy their own, when they could just make their own film studio? With all the money they have, it just doesn't make sense to me that Apple would go and buy Sony. If anything, I mean, if I was Apple, I wouldn't even try to go after Sony. I would, if I was going to go after a film studio, I'd probably try to go after Warner Brothers, which they just recently got bought by AT&T. I would go after, maybe Universal, Comcast. I don't know, they're for sale. But my point being, I don't know why Apple would bother buying a film studio that people keep saying is not good and is on the death of dying soon. Why would they bother buying such a poor studio that's on its way out if they could just make their own studio and start from scratch? Just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense, man. I just don't get it. I don't get what people are thinking. I don't get what people are thinking with this shit. Go Ultimate Instinct. No, I don't know. I honestly, I just don't get where people think this stuff. Like, it's just, I mean, I could be like these YouTubers that have made like 10 videos about Spider-Man and updates and all this shit that they're doing. But I don't do that because, I mean, I don't want to milk this shit. Because honestly, I think it's shit. I think all this news that's going on is shit. No, that's not even a good joke, dude. No. But dude, I just don't get it. I just don't get why people are reporting this shit. I really don't. I just don't understand where people think that this is gonna be a thing. It's just not. I don't really know that much. Well, actually, no. He's the dude with the clock, right? I didn't really watch that much. I mostly know him from Animation Rewind. But I just don't get where people are going on with with these rumors. It's just, it's dumb. It's not needed. It's time to stop. There. There. Yeah. It really is, though. Like, I'm just sick of these rumors. You know, until we got concrete information, you know, until we get concrete information, it's you know, people need to just stop spreading rumors and bullshit and just move on. And that's where I stand on this. You know, that's really all I gotta say. That's my piece on this, on all these rumors and speculations. You know, comment, rate. If you like this video, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell too, for all the latest content. And that's about it, guys. I'm the SS Ultimate Goku. Out of here. Peace.